My love for ginger snaps started with Trader Joe's. I'm not a cookie person. I wouldn't eat an Oreo if you paid me. But Trader Joe's ginger snaps are fabulous. They're insanely gingery and crispy with little chewy bits of candied ginger. My older kid was looking for a baking project last winter and I suggested recreating Trader Joe's ginger snaps. I mean, what better way to spend the pandemic, right? The recipe that finally led us to success was from a blog called Love and Olive Oil, so a huge thanks to its creator, Lindsay Landis. Lindsay, in case you're watching this, Merry Christmas, and a huge thanks to my kid, Sammy, for doing all the heavy lifting with converting this recipe into weight measurements because, as you know, I'm not a huge fan of measuring cups. Let's start by putting 1 large egg and 1 large egg yolk into a bowl to give them a chance to come to room temperature. Get a medium bowl for the dry ingredients. We'll need 320 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 2.8 grams of salt. That's 1 teaspoon of Diamond Crystal Kosher or half a teaspoon of table salt. For the other salt types, weigh on a high precision scale. Whisk the dry ingredients to combine. I usually do it for a minute to make sure that they are well mixed. In a small cup, measure out 1 teaspoon of powdered ginger and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. The other 2 spices are optional, but I like to add half a teaspoon of cardamom and half a teaspoon of nutmeg, if possible freshly grated. Now the hard part. We need to grate a ton of fresh ginger. Peel a 3 to 4 inch piece and grate it on a microplane zester. If you want, you can freeze it before grating so that the little fibers don't clog your grater. Though I find that frozen ginger gets really hard and takes a long time to grate. The way I deal with all the fibers is by frequently rotating my piece of ginger, and when the fibers start to stick out too much, I trim them off. If your grater gets clogged in one spot, just move to another spot. Okay, we've got 28 grams of fresh ginger and we can move on to candied ginger. When you're shopping for it, try to find this moist and flexible kind, not the one that is hard and all dried up. Measure out 80 grams, slice and then mince it into small pieces. We'll also need 255 grams of dark brown sugar and 57 grams of molasses. When you're buying molasses, make sure it's not blackstrap because it tastes very different and quite terrible. Here's the brand of molasses that I buy. It's the most common brand that I've seen in the stores around here. Put 170 grams of unsalted butter into a small pot and set it over medium heat. When it is close to melting, start whisking it. This is the easiest way to prevent the butter from splattering all over your kitchen while you are trying to brown it. When you stir it, you release the steam so that it doesn't build up and then explode. Stirring also ensures that your butter browns evenly without burning. Keep cooking it until it turns a dark brown color. This will take about 5 minutes. If you think it smells good now, just wait till we add the spices. Once you reach this color, pour the butter into the bowl of your mixer. Just make sure the bowl is metal or glass, not plastic. Immediately stir in all the dry spices. I wish someone would make a perfume that smells like this. I would be their spokesperson. This aroma is why I keep making these cookies instead of buying them. I could take a bath in this butter if it wasn't as hot. Let the butter cool off for a couple of minutes and add the sugar, molasses, and the fresh ginger. Pay no attention to my whisking. This is a job for a mixer, not for my flimsy whisk. Fit it with a pedal attachment and beat on medium speed until the sugar lumps are all broken up. Add the eggs and keep beating on medium speed until incorporated and the mixture is smooth. You might want to scrape things down once in a while. Add the dry ingredients and mix on low speed until no dry flour remains. Add the candied ginger and mix until the mixture is homogeneous. Let me just give it a few folds with a spatula to make sure we got everything incorporated. Looks good. Cover with plastic wrap and refrigerate for about 2 hours or until the mixture is very firm. If you don't have time to proceed with the recipe immediately, you can refrigerate it overnight. Here is my chilled dough. One way to portion it is by using a teaspoon. You want to fill it generously so that it's slightly heaping, and then roll this portion into a ball. The weight I'm shooting for is 10 grams. Another option that I find faster is to grab a chunk of dough and roll it out into a rope. Then cut it into little pieces, like shaping gnocchi. Weigh the first piece so that you know how big to cut them. Once all the dough is portioned, roll each chunk into a bowl and place them on a parchment or foil-covered baking sheet. You should end up with somewhere between 80 and 90 cookies. You could bake them right away, or you could freeze these balls for 2 hours and put them into a Ziploc bag. This is where the parchment paper comes in handy. You can stick the whole thing in the bag and peel the balls off the paper. They can stay in your freezer until you're ready to bake. You don't need to defrost them. You can bake them right from the frozen state. When you're ready to bake, preheat the oven to 300 degrees with the racks in the upper and lower thirds. If your dough balls aren't frozen, roll them gently in a bowl of granulated sugar. But since mine are frozen, they are very sturdy, so I can dump some sugar into the bag and toss them around. Whatever I don't bake today, I'll just put back in the freezer. Line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper and arrange the cookies on top, giving them plenty of room to expand. I usually alternate rows of 3 and 4 cookies, so 14 cookies fit onto one half sheet that is 18 by 13 inches. Place the baking sheet in the oven. It's okay if you don't have convection, I'm not using it. Bake for 10 minutes. Then rotate your baking sheets front to back and top to bottom. Don't panic if your cookies look all puffy. That's normal and temporary. They'll settle back down. Bake another 10 minutes or 12 if you were starting from the frozen state like I was. When your cookies look flat and brown, get them out. It's normal for them to be soft to the touch. They will firm up and become crispy after they cool. If you want to bake more cookies, move the done ones to the rack to free up your baking sheets for the next batch. Once the cookies are completely cool, put them into an airtight container. If you let them sit uncovered for many hours, they will lose their crispness. This happened to me by accident on the day I was shooting this video. I baked the cookies in the morning and let them sit on a rack all day while working on 4 other videos. By the end of the day, they weren't crispy anymore. If this happens to you, don't panic. Put them back in the oven at 300 Fahrenheit for 7 to 10 minutes, cool them again, and put them in the container, and they'll be back to their usual snappy selves. What's great about these cookies is that they last a long time. How long is hard to test because we keep eating them too quickly. The longest lived cookie in our house was a week old and it was as good as new. Lindsay says that they last for 2 weeks. So yeah, they make good holiday gifts. If you're looking for an easier but equally delicious cookie, you might want to try Sammy's shortbread. And if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.